morning, everyone. Welcome back for the final science video of the year. This week, I want to begin by asking you to think about the last time it rained. I know it rained at least one day, either this week or last weekend. When it stopped raining, if you looked outside, you probably saw that there were puddles on the ground. After a few hours, though, if you looked outside again, you probably noticed that the ground was now dry. So my first question for today is, where did all of that rainwater go? We know that water on Earth does not stay in the same place all the time. When it rains, some of the water flows off into rivers and lakes. Some water soaks into the ground, and some water sits in puddles and then goes back into the air. In fact, the water you saw in the rain today may one day end up far away in the ocean. How does water move from place to place? What is the source of the energy that keeps the water moving? These are some of the questions that we are going to answer today as we discuss the water cycle. What is the water cycle? As water moves on Earth, it can change its form. It may change from a solid, liquid, or a gas. For example, the snow on mountain peaks melts each spring. Moisture in the air may change to a liquid and fall as raindrops. These changes are part of the water cycle. The water cycle is a series of changes that water goes through as it moves up into the air and back down to Earth's surface. A cycle is a set of steps that happen over and over again. So the steps in the water cycle repeat without stopping. You can see the arrows in the picture look like they're going in a bit of a circle. These steps that go in a circle like this are called a series because they can continue constantly. They're not going to stop. There's no break in those series of steps or in that cycle. Another question for us this morning is, where did all of Earth's water come from? Even though water is always moving, it actually rarely enters or leaves our planet. In fact, the water on Earth today is the same waters that the dinosaurs drank, if you can believe that. But where did water first come from? Many scientists think that some of Earth's water came from comets. Comets are objects made of dust and ice that move through space. A certain substance found in the comets is also found in Earth's oceans. This is why scientists think that comets may have brought some water to Earth. Other scientists think that meteorites and asteroids were the source of the water here on our planet. Meteors and asteroids are other types of space objects that sometimes collide with Earth. Many scientists also think some of Earth's water came from the molten rock inside the Earth. This hot rock then released water as a gas into the Earth's atmosphere. Most scientists do agree that water on Earth first existed as a gas. Then, when Earth went through a cooling phase, the gas changed into a liquid. The liquid fell as rain. Then the rain gathered in the lowest points of Earth's surface, forming oceans. Over time, both liquid water and ice continued to flow over Earth's surface. This water formed glaciers in places that were cold enough. The water also formed rivers that cut into the land and shaped it. You can think about the Grand Canyon. Moving water continues to change Earth's landscape today. So we just said that the amount of water on Earth has stayed pretty much the same for a very, very long time. But you probably hear about concern of protecting our water supply. Why is that? That's actually because more than 97% of the water on Earth is salt water. Humans cannot drink salt water and need fresh water in order to survive. Another problem is that the majority of the fresh water is frozen as glaciers and as ice caps. Therefore, humans have a small supply of fresh water in comparison to the total amount of water on Earth. In addition, polluting fresh water makes that supply even smaller. Now, I think you went outside after the rain shower the other day. Did you notice, especially if it was warm out, did you notice that the air felt muggy or sticky? That would be because sometimes there's a lot of water in the air. This water is not liquid anymore, it has become a gas. This gas is called water vapor. And the amount of the water vapor in the air itself is called the humidity. If it is very humid, it's going to feel kind of sticky outside. Water vapor comes from the liquid water in oceans, lakes, and rivers. When the liquid water changes its form into a gas, we call that process evaporation. The same thing happens to the puddles that you saw on the ground after the rainstorm. Evaporation is only one step in the water cycle. Another step is called condensation. Condensation happens when the water cools down and changes into a liquid. I think I forgot to mention before that when liquid water evaporates, it has been heated up. The addition of heat to the liquid water, helps it evaporate into water vapor. So condensation is the opposite. When the water vapor cools down, it changes back into liquid water. Water vapor condenses on dust particles in the air, and these small droplets of water form what we see as clouds and fog. Sometimes the water droplets in the clouds get bigger and they become too heavy and fall to the ground as rain. Depending on the weather conditions, meaning the temperature, the water droplets may fall as snow, sleet, or hail. Rain, snow, sleet, and hail are all forms of precipitation. Precipitation is an important part of the water cycle. It lets water from the air fill the oceans and lakes on Earth's surface. Rain also helps to refill lakes and rivers. Oftentimes, these rivers then flow into the lakes and the oceans. Not all precipitation, however, goes straight into larger bodies of water. Some precipitation seeps into the ground. This water is called groundwater. Groundwater flows through the spaces in the rocks underground. It eventually flows into rivers, lakes, and oceans. Often, once it reaches these bodies of water, it continues the water cycle through evaporation. So that's where we got that circle from. Precipitation falls to the ground, it flows back to the oceans or the lakes or the rivers, and then as the sun beats down on it, it heats it up and it evaporates back up into the sky, into the clouds. Now I just mentioned the sun. Without the sun, the water cycle wouldn't exist at all. It wouldn't work. So water isn't able to move through the water cycle without some source of energy. And of course, the main source of energy for all life and everything that happens here on Earth is the sun, and the water cycle is no exception. The sun's heat powers the water cycle in different ways, but how does this work? First, heat from the sun causes the water to change form. As the sun warms the oceans, the liquid water becomes watery vapor through evaporation. Second, the sun heats the air, which causes the air to move. We of course call this moving air wind. Wind moves water vapor to or from one place to another. As this water vapor is moved by the wind, it sometimes comes into contact with cooler air, which then helps the water vapor to condense and form clouds. Finally, the sun's heat affects air temperature. In turn, the air temperature affects what type of precipitation will fall. If the air is warm, rain will fall. And if the air is cold enough, sleet or snow will fall. So that is our quick review of the water cycle for this week. Your assignment or project for this week, of course, is to go on STEMscopes and review the short assignments that have been uploaded there. In addition, I would like you to take a few minutes and research the water cycle. Too far. I want you to find a good picture that shows the cycle itself and how it works. And your task is to draw, color, and label a water cycle. The things you should label are the sun, condensation, evaporation, and precipitation. Again, I want you to label the sun, condensation, evaporation, and precipitation. Label those 4 things and send it to your teacher so they can take a look. All right, everyone, that's it for today. Thank you again for watching all of the science videos over the past 2 months. I really appreciate you taking the time to do so. I know we've gotten a lot out of it, and I look forward to seeing everybody on the final weeks of school next week. Have a good weekend.